Okay. Um, Thanks, Chad. Okay, so when and how to refer in coaching. This is kind of a complicated situation because how many people plan on coaching inside of an agency, like the VA, BetterHelp, things like that. Maybe not BetterHelp, I think it's BetterUp, but whatever it is, like those larger organizations. Hinge Help is another one. Um, anyway, there's a lot of organizations that are out there that would be able to provide resources, and it's easier to refer in those systems. And I'll use the VA as an example because the VA is the largest integrated system. So if Chad puts in a note on Armando in the system, then his cardiologist can see it, his primary care provider can see it. Everybody can see that note. And the other way, right? Chad, before he sees Armando, could go in and see, oh, well, Armando has, cardiovascular issues. So now we're going to, make sure that he has realistic expectations whenever it comes to those types of limitations, right? Um,
Let me ask you a question real quick. I think I'm confused. Like, where would he chart this at? Is there like how would that be congruent through it?
that's because the VA system is all in one system. So like
Oh,
if
just in the VA. Okay.
yeah. But I would say in like Hinge Health. So Hinge Health is another one that has coaching. They have pain specialists, they have PTs, they have everything, and they can see everybody's notes too. So if you work in a system, it's easier that way. And they tend to have a referral system in that electronic health record. So then, like if Chad did need to make a referral to a nutritionist, that's, Jennifer, then, Chad could look Jennifer up in the system and even write a note to her particular or go straight to her, but also be able to see the notes that Jennifer would put into the system, so on and so forth. So, so that's really what I was saying. So if you have a system like that, it makes it probably 90% easier to make your referral system, right? I don't want to make it sound like it's so easy because there's definitely barriers, but but I will say it makes it easier when you work in a system. So if you're not going to be working in that system, or you're only going to be working alongside of health coaches in as your system, you're going to have to start building your bench, right? And that's usually what I say here. You got to build your bench. You got to know who you're going to refer to. I would strongly suggest that you do something like the circle of health and you have those components. And in each component of that circle of health in a spreadsheet, you have all of your resources in the community where you're coaching. If you're doing virtual community, you know, are doing it virtually, maybe have virtual resources, right? Maybe not because you'll be coaching people all over the US at that point, but think of it that way that really you're only going to be making referrals to things that are related to that component of health. And you're going to be using things like Elicit, Provide Elicit to even make those referrals, right? So, but having it in your back pocket is going to be key and know the referral source, right? And if you don't know the referral source and you're still going to make that recommendation, let your client know that. Because again, going back to the conversation at the beginning of this is trust. If I send Brock over to Mark and Mark is a complete turd, right? Then Brock is probably going to associate, me being a turd, right? Like, why are you sending me to a turd? This just seems like I'm stuck between a turd sandwich, right? And I don't want to be a turd sandwich. I want to go somewhere else, right? And that's usually what happens, right? Is if you refer somebody, that is a direct reflection on you. So if you don't know that person very well, make that clear to your client. Um, and it's not really throwing somebody else under the bus, it's just letting them know and you not putting your reputation on somebody else that you hardly know. Um, it's just a common kind of thing to think about. But that is really whenever we're starting to really prepare for the potential to send people out, right? We have to have professional colleagues with whom we can discuss potential referrals. I will say this is probably a luxury. If you're on your own, you're probably not going to be able to sit down and talk to their therapist. You're probably not going to be able to sit down and talk to their doctor. However, if you can, make those connections the best you can, right? Even if it is sometimes going somewhere on their lunch breaks and taking them lunch, right? Or whatever it is, if you're growing a business and doing those types of things, there's going to be different ways to be able to do that. But I'll say also other professionals want to work with you, right? So keep that in mind too. So don't feel like you got to got to go find everybody in the private sector. Like they're going to want to work with you. You have a skill set now that they need because they can't spend the time with their patients that they're going to be able to do with them that you're going to be able to do. Right. So keep that in mind. They want to work with you. They want to send referrals to you as well. So I say go buy them lunch. Don't buy them lunch all the time, right? Don't make us like you're a pharmaceutical rep or something, right? It's just kind of building that rapport, and trying to build that connection. Be clear of your supervisory chain and whom you will share those concerns. So really here, this is probably more for in those agencies. And if you're in a coaching agency, right, or even a VA agency, you definitely need to know the rules and regulations around your job. The scope of practice can change based on your agency right now. And I don't want to say that because really it should be based off the national board. However, it is not because it's still a growing field. Much like we talked about on day one, right? As the field is growing tremendously right now. I forget how many people is in the coaching field, but maybe Chad can correct me, but it's like 150,000 people right now. Or maybe no, it's less than that. It's like 75,000 people, right? Or something like that. Anyway, yeah, now he's gonna fact check me. All right, this is like a podcast now. But you know, keep that in mind. We are still on the ground of this, right? You all are going to be the experts in coaching because there is a very few amount of people, and that's the reason why we don't have state licensure. So whenever we're moving and we have 250, a million, whatever it is, providers of coaches in the future, you all are on the ground floor. Y'all are the experts. Y'all are going to have more experience when this profession develops than anybody else in the profession, besides maybe those 30, 40, whatever thousand it is that's licensed right now. They have a little bit more than you. But, at the end of the day, we are at the ground level of this. We are the experts in this field, and you all are going to be pioneering this the whole way. So, keep that in mind as we grow. Be familiar with referral resources. Again, don't refer people to places you don't know unless you tell them you don't know, right? Give them the full caveat. Like, I don't know this place. It looks like a great place. Go at your own caution. Recognize that not all client issues are appropriate for coaching. I always push back on this, right? I feel like every single person is appropriate for coaching. There is not a person that I could ever think of that would not be appropriate for coaching unless they are in a vegetable state in bed, right? They are in a coma or something, right? That's or maybe I guess there probably is some cognitive issues that are out there that you might think about. But really, in my opinion, you can coach people with suicidal thoughts. You can coach people with substance abuse. You can coach people with any type of issue, and it's perfectly okay, right? It's okay. They need coaching, they need purpose, and research is showing it. I know I've said this before that research shows that health coaching is as beneficial and has the same amount of outcomes or equivalent outcomes as evidence-based psychotherapies. And reimbursement models are going to start showing it. So become familiar with behaviors and signs that might suggest additional resources are needed. And I think that's probably more that you would have to recognize whenever somebody might meet that definition of not being ready to be coached, is really you just got to be familiar with those behaviors and signs, right? If you see somebody that you're working with and they have historically had depressive episodes, and then, you need to be aware of those signs and symptoms, right? If you're going to be working with that population on a regular basis. So kind of keep that in mind. Be aware of behaviors, be aware of signs, but in my opinion, don't be afraid to coach people because of what's going on in their lives. They should and hopefully would have an entire team that's taking care of those issues. In the VA system, they're going to have a therapist if they have suicidal thoughts. Typically, if they're on medication, right, they're going to have a therapist, hopefully be established. We know there's a crisis that may not be the case in the community. But that's another reason for building that bench is find those therapists that you can refer to. So when to refer, some basic guidelines here is client expresses intents and thoughts of harming themselves. I will say we tried to implement coaching. We trained all the suicide prevention coordinators. We trained in Clarksville for coaches to go and meet with people in the intermediate of a therapist coming to them as well for PCMHI. We tried to implement different pieces. to me, again, if you have a system, you can be a little bit creative with this process. If you are on your own, have a resource, have a process in place, but I don't know if you want to get as creative in your private practice as you would if you had the VA backing you up or a large healthcare system, or an insurance company, because those are other big companies, they're employers. Client shows signs of depression. Again, I would argue and fight back on this, but this would probably be more of that catastrophic or whatever. They're not moving, right? They're a vegetable state. They're not getting out of bed. They're not doing things. So this is probably more on that extreme side of depression. Same thing with anxiety. It's more about that extreme side of anxiety. Everybody experiences anxiety. Client is unable to make progress in desired area of change. Again, in my opinion, that just means it's time to reassess that part of the, sorry. Oh, Chad put it in the chat box. So right now there is an estimated 128,000 health coaches and health educators. Only 10,000 are board certified health coaches right now. So out of that population, again, it's one of the fastest growing businesses right now, one of the fastest growing professions, and you all are on the cutting edge of this. So again, we are the experts in this, and you know, enough. Right. So, all right. You seem to have conflicts, values, and differences with clients that are impeding your relationship. I think this is important, right? This is another important one. If you can't work with this person for whatever reason, you need to excuse yourself or refer that person to somebody else, right? You need to get them to somebody. So whenever we're looking at this, if you see those signs of depression, you see those signs of anxiety, you need to get them into a therapist, right? And here, whenever you have a conflict with them, this may be a time that you refer them to another health coach. So this would be a great time to have other health coaches in your referral source. So if I'm not a good fit for Armando, then I'm going to send Armando to Chad, right? And then maybe even tell Armando who Chad is and why I think Chad might be a better fit, and then try to send them there. So even having health coaches on your bench is going to be a great resource. And then trust your intuition, right? If this is somebody that you don't want to work with, you feel creeped out by them, it's just something you don't want to do, and you're having that anxiety, you're going to be burnt out and you're not going to be present with that person anyway, right? So trust your intuition. Go ahead and refer them out whenever you feel that way. So how to refer? This may, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, can I ask one more question on this?
Yeah,
Do you feel like there's a time frame? I work with clients every day, and I work in the substance abuse field, and usually within 90 days of working with them, I feel like if I can't help them in 90 days from what I'm doing, maybe somebody else could do better, has a different approach. So I know there's probably not a time frame, but have you ever seen something like that?
Yes, absolutely. There is time frames on coaching, and I would anticipate right now Medicare doesn't have time frames on it. So a person could get health coaching weekly for their entire life. No big deal. But I would say a lot of times it depends on what you specialize in. So if your population is at that 90-day mark and that's it, right? Then that is this thing that you would do. I would I would caution you though on the way that you say it, right? And that's the only thing I would say about it. And that might be something of sitting down with somebody to come up with a script of how you would write it up. But in my opinion, making it more strength based of saying, hey, at this point, it's probably more likely that a therapist may help you at this point, or however you would say it, like, hey, we're this relationship may end, but that could also be part of that coaching agreement to say, hey, we do weekly sessions for a total of 90 days, or whatever, however many weeks that would be. At that, we're going to be planning termination. And one thing that you should always be thinking of, and Chad's going to talk a little bit about termination. Termination is always discussed at the beginning of that coach. It's in the coaching agreement. We're going to be working on it. If you're in private practice, I would say, and to Brock's scenario here, you would say and spell out, these are how many sessions you're going to be getting, right? And this is whenever we're going to be cutting it off. This is when it's done, so you're already planting those seeds ahead of time. So in that way, you're kind of, I guess, not making it a taboo thing. Hey, you're freaking 90 days, man. You're still not there. You're done, right? You're going to relapse. You're going to be back in. We know this is going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it, uh, I guess just the ways that we could do it to say, okay, now we're at this point. If we're not there, we need to reassess where we're at emotionally, mentally, and physically, so we can make sure that we get you in the right spot because this may not be it at 90 days, and maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
And if you don't mind, one follow-up question. How about frequency? Like, do you guys have a gem spot on how many times a week you'd want to talk to somebody and meet them?
I
Chad's
was,
like, yeah, man.
yeah, well, I'll let Chad answer that. Go ahead, Chad.
I've played with that, and so there's generally the sweet spot for me is biweekly, every other week. That gives them an opportunity to put into action what they've set out to do, but not so long, like 3 weeks that they're like, Chad, who's Chad again?
Hmm.
Or I need to reschedule, and now we're at 3 weeks. I need to reschedule. Now we're at a month, and now we're keep pushing out. So the only time I ever do a weekly session is if somebody is just, they need that support and they're willing to do, the first couple of sessions doing weekly, and then we go into bi-weekly just to kind of loosen the noose a little bit, to give them some freedom to do whatever they need to do to learn the action that they're looking for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
What
that's
do
a
you think about that?
Are you asking me what do I think about that, or are you asking
I
who are you
am.
asking?
No, I'm asking you, Brock.
Man, so I've kind of done both. I do work with. I saw someone put a message about opposite sex. It seems like with the women that I work with, the more frequent I meet with them and touch base, whether it's a Zoom, whether it's a text message, something like that. And I know it's a little bit different than what we're talking about here, but it seems like the more frequent, the better success they have. And the men biweekly seems to be work better.
And that's just you reading your client going, okay, again, they're the pilot, we're the co-pilot. If they want to meet weekly, we do weekly. If they want to do bi-weekly and they feel better with that, then we can do bi-weekly. But I try not to go beyond that, just so we can continue to check in and make progress moving forward.
Copy. Thank you.
And I'll add to that. I mean, I agree with everything Chad said, but I'll also add to it, if one of your clients misses one of those biweekly appointments, then now it's a month that they don't see you. So that's a con, I'll say. But again, I agree with Chad, everything they said. Like, I think that gives them time to implement. You can set multiple tasks, whenever you talk about that second SMART goal that you're setting with them, there could be a couple of those that they're actually completing. They're not just completing finding an app to track their steps. They went down the neighborhood and found the track that they're going to walk on before the time that they come back and talk to you, right? So it does give you a little bit more time, and but I would caution that other side, right? Is if you don't see them in that 2 week, to have a backup plan or something, some type of touch point, if they do have that no show, or not no show, but missed appointment. But I will also say, speaking of no shows, account for no shows in your coaching contract. No shows is the biggest risk to your private practice, and rescheduling. So even have a rescheduling policy. You can't reschedule more than X amount of times, right? Especially within a 24-hour period. Because really, what's the likelihood that you're going to find somebody in that 24 hours? I mean, maybe. I don't want to take, but that's going to be hustle on your part, things like that. So that even creates more work. Have the policy, right? That creates more stress, burnout. Think upstream and protecting those missed opportunities of no shows, rescheduling and things like that. I know that's not part of this conversation, but how to refer, this is kind of, if you're in an organization, you know what the process is going to be. It's probably already established for you. If you're in your own, right, you need to be able to understand what that's going to be. And also in that coaching agreement, have that you may refer to other people. But again, even if you don't have it in that initial statement, you're going to get their permission to refer out anyway. You need a release of information, but at the end of the day, you're still going to get that permission regardless. So whether you do it in the first time or other, I would always have it in your coaching agreement that there is a chance for referrals. Discuss with the client first before making a referral. Use elicit, provide illicit, right? I know we've kind of beat that over your head a little bit, but If you have other clinical credentials, be clear when you're changing roles. So me as an LCSW, I need to say, okay, I'm no longer coach right now, right? I need to say we're going to provide a diagnosis. We're changing gears, right? Like we're moving into another thing. If you're a peer support specialist, right? Peer support specialist is a little bit different. If you're a fitness instructor, right? The way that you approach all these different pieces is a little bit different, and you need to let them know when you're switching that gear, because you don't want to, create that lack of trust. Because now, if you're switching between things, that gets confusing, and then the way that a peer approaches, like I said, or a yoga instructor or a doctor is just completely different. Offer to continue to provide coaching during that time frame. So if you're referring to, you know, to Chad's point, if the person wants a female and they are, a female and they want a female coach, then you may offer to coach them while they're going to go see this, right? It might take a month and a half to get there, make the commitment to still see that client if they're willing to. All right, so real brief, and then I'm going to turn it over to Chad. So next steps in your coaching experience. I kind of mentioned it earlier. This is kind of the last day that it's potentially just this coaching learning time to kind of get the coaching skills down. So now one thing that we're going to do is everyone is going to be paired up, and, let us know if there's a conflict once we get you all paired up. But what we're going to do is y'all are going to be paired up for the next 8 weeks. And hopefully y'all can find time to meet outside of class and do coaching and coach each other. So y'all can actually experience what coaching is like. So you're actually going to go through the 4 stages and beyond, right? So you pick a goal that you want to work on for the next 8 weeks or so ish, right? And then that way you and this person can hopefully, keep track of that and do some coaching and, accomplish something by the end of this course, right? That's really the goal. But also the goal is these hours or these sessions will count towards your 50 sessions as well. So this is also another tool that we're using to help you all progress. Also, what we will do is ask you all to record those sessions. And then we're going to have you all upload them to us. And then we're going to we'll have you all meet with a mentor one-on-one. So then that way y'all can go over those videos and go over, the good, bad, and ugly, and move towards proficiency is really the goal of this, is moving everybody towards proficiency. And the mentor just kind of depends. Some of our mentors, if y'all have a strong preference towards mentors, let me know. If we assign a mentor and you have a strong preference that you don't want that mentor, there is no judgment on that. For whatever reason, you can let us know. You can say, hey, I don't want to work with this person, and I will gladly, you don't even need to give me a reason. You can give me a reason too if it was being a butt or something like that. But if it's just solely a differences in character or whatever it is, please let us know. And again, at the end, there's going to be a ending time with that mentor, and that mentor will sit down with you and provide a final evaluation saying, hey, this is our evaluation of your coaching. This is where you can continue to move towards proficiency beyond this course. And that's really, again, like I said, the goal is now we've given y'all the fundamental pieces of coaching. Now we want to move y'all towards using this proficiently and building your own style in coaching and be able to work with a mentor over time instead of having different mentors each time and things like that. Any questions about this process? Again, if there's issues meeting or y'all miss a week, this is not a rigid process. So keep that in mind too. If it takes you 2 weeks to get started, that's okay, right? No big deal. Any of that type of stuff, this is, again, your experience is really what this is about. And then those sessions will count towards those 50 sessions towards that other side or taking your exam.
So I do have a question. Like, where do we get the script? Where do we get all this information from that we're going to be talking about and then we'll be using with each other?
Yeah. So it's that same PDF, stages 1 through 4.
Okay.
So it'll be the same pieces. So everything that you did over these past 4 days or these 4 sessions. I know, Brock, I think you missed last week. So you'll get stage 3. And so that was goal setting last week. But here I'll show you right now, actually. So ultimately, these are the characteristics of the coach. You know, these are the things that we're wanting everybody to kind of exhibit. You're a change agent, a collaborator, a partner, right? These are the qualities we're looking for. These are your coaching skills that we're looking for, right? And then your coaching strategies. You know, I would say at the first time or the first several times that you're coaching, honestly, I would almost have this pulled up. I used to actually have this as a one-sheeter PDF, even whenever I was coaching on a regular basis, and just kept this pulled up just because it kept me thinking that way. Um, but then over here, these are the stages that we'll be doing, right? So first, stage one, you're going to be building that mission, aspiration, and purpose. Stage two, you're narrowing down that focus area on that personal health or that whole health inventory. And then stage three is the goals and actions. And then stage four is take further action, replan, learn, and assess. Hold on.
Would you mind going back to that one a second ago? I'm just gonna take a quick picture of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. Let me start sharing again. Did you get this one too?
I got it.
Okay. And then this one.
Got it. Thank you.
And then let me stop sharing because I was going to go to the PDF that I may or may not even have pulled up because I restarted my whole computer. All right, let me look this up real fast while I'm doing that. I'll reshare my screen over here and let everybody see the groups that we are picked. Again, these groups are not sold. But here goes, you know, these will be your partners. Again, these are the people that you'll link up with outside of class. And if y'all need an email introductory, we can definitely do that, or we will do that. Sorry, we'll do an email introductory after this, and then kind of say, here goes your mentor. Here goes, you know, and the mentors are subject to change as well. Like I said, also if let's say since Kirby's not here, I'll pick on her. If Kirby was like, hey, I don't want to work with Todd. Todd's, you know, he's too many dad jokes and I just don't want to do it. Like I don't want to listen to that anymore. Then we could assign her a new mentor inside of this. Like Armando may still see Todd, you know, so because you'll be meeting one-on-one with your mentors. Any questions?
So Brock and I meet, and then
Mhm.
I go and do a one-on-one with Haley. Is that every week or
Yep.
just whenever needed?
That'll be worked out with your mentor. Some mentors do it, you know, every other week to give you kind of time to build on some of the things that they do, but they're going to be giving you kind of tasks to kind of grow and those types of things, right? So if they tell you, hey, in between the next time that we meet, right, you need more reflections or whatever, they may say, we're going to give you 2 weeks for you to work on that with your person. And then they may meet with you in 2 weeks instead. Does that make sense? So it'll be fluid.
And after this week, this is what we're doing. This is our
Yep.
last time to do this.
Yep. Do not see my name. That's because I didn't put your name on here, Shaquan. I guess I just forgot you. You should be offended. You can be mad at me. Honestly, I was trying to figure out the names because I don't think these two are coming back. So I'll figure that out. And I think I even misspelled Armando's name too. So man, I'm messing everything up. Man, y'all can all be mad at me now. But I'll tell you, and she's not even here, the name that I'm proud that I got right, that I probably looked at the most, was this one right here. But okay, but remember that. So if you're not happy with your mentor, any of that type of stuff, I wasn't able to look at this real fast. Let me try to find this because I want to show this PDF so y'all know which ones you are looking at. But anybody have any questions about anything?
No, you're shooting an email to us, so I'll have Brock's information, he'll have mine, and then we just start setting it up ourselves with Haley too.
Right. That's right. Yep. And Haley will be the one that sends you the email. She doesn't know it yet, but
Okay.
This is where you're recording each other while you're coaching, and then you would send the recording to the mentor for them to evaluate. And so when you meet one-on-one, you can kind of go over what went well, what didn't go so well.
How are we recording it? Like with your phone or is there?
Zoom.
Zoom,
Zoom.
Teams.
And Zoom has a little thing. I've never done that before. There's just an easy thing to record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Brock,
How long should each practical be?
20 minutes, just like they were here. Doesn't have to be 20 minutes. Remember that, right? If you get done early, don't try to drag it out. There's no need to drag it out. Make it comfortable, make it flow. If you end in 15 minutes and you hit all the marks, don't feel like you got to be like, well, just to try to drag it out. That's not coaching, right? Make it authentic, make it genuine. And I'll also say for you all, make it authentic and genuine. Make this a real play, right? Again, like I said, this is an opportunity for you to be coached for the next 8 weeks for free in a course, right? So you have an opportunity to get, some goals accomplished of things that you might have wanted to around the house, whatever it is, right? Don't, be willing to share what you want to share, but I think it's a good opportunity. And also that way, it's a great opportunity to do self-disclosures with your clients, right? To say, I know what it's like sitting on the other side of this, right? Like, I know what it's like to be vulnerable. And you'll be able to share that with your clients.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Aside from practicing with our partners, can we, I mean, not can we, I mean, I'm sure I can. If I practice this with other people and I record that, is this something I can send to?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And honestly, if that's how people prefer to do it, we didn't throw that out there as an option to the other cohort. However, whenever I was at a university, we did it that way to where they had to find their own people and get their hours in that way. So only reason I didn't do that is because some people find that a little bit more stressful, and we're making this course less stressful for people, right? At a university, that's something that would be expected, maybe not in a certificate course here. So, but if people want to find their own folks and they don't want to be partnered up in the course, we're okay with that too. And again, no judgment there either. So you don't have to do double work on that. You know what I mean? So yeah, no judgment there on that part either. So, but I'm going to go ahead and actually turn it over to Chad for time's sake while I'm looking this up right now, just because where I restarted my computer, everything, went away. So I'll turn it over to Chad. He's going to go over stage 4, which is really termination or reassessing everything, right? It's kind of that now you've got them going, you got them in that, you got their goal set, you got their action item set, everything's ready, right? So now we're checking in on it and making sure they're moving towards that long-term behavioral goal. Chad wasn't ready for it.
No, I'm ready. My computer's lagging. I was trying to get my mouse to catch up here.
Oh, I hate that. That's the worst.
Zoom is killing me. Here we go. All right. Get all my windows moved around here. All right, so stage 4, we've, give me 1 second, sorry. All right, here we go. Let's get ready to rumble. So you just saw the coaching model a while ago, going through stage 1, 2, and 3, you've already hit. Stage 1 is the map. You explore the values and conflicts. Stage 2, you're going to reflect and assess and focus, find a focus. That's where you do the PHI, you focus, you assess the readiness of them to do it. Stage 3 is where the rubber hits the road and you start to come up with some goals and action steps, define the barriers and and it's not our job as a coach to fix or help them navigate the barrier. It's the client's role to what is it they're going to do to get to navigate that barrier. Okay, they come up with that. The accountability and support that's provided they may have, and then today, stage 4, putting it all together to where you're taking further action. You're going to kind of see what happened, what happened, and then where do we go from here? So whenever we meet with the client after they set their goal, their SMART goal, they come back to with us again. We're at stage 4. You're going to have them assess, how did they do? Whether they took a lot of action, they really dove into it, they did some of the action, maybe a little bit, or they didn't do any at all. All right. And so and a lot of people like to go, I didn't do it, or I only did some of it. And I try to stop them in a positive way with a smile on my face. Like, wait. Tell me what went well with your action step. And it kind of stops them in their tracks. It's like, all right, what went well? Well, I did it. I did it one time. I said I was going to do it 5 times. I only did it once. You did it one time. What went well? And then you start pulling out those strengths from that whenever they were actively doing their goal, their action step. And then, what didn't go so well? They already know that one. They were ready to tell you that one right up front. And then what'd you learn? What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about the process through all this? And that's important for them to be able to, you know what? I thought 3 times a week was realistic, but it's not. I can only do it 2 times a week. And so then you can step back and reassess that goal and make it more realistic for them. But while you're going through all these questions, you've got all these things that you're listening for. You're listening for the success. You're listening for the breakthroughs, the challenges, the strengths that they did have that they applied. Any recurring themes running through that. And they may have, you may notice some competing values. You like that Snickers bar. I see every time we get together, you get a Snickers bar, but you also talk about going to the gym. Kind of got to evaluate the conflict there and be able to reflect that back to them. And by the way, feel free to stop me throughout this. If you have a question or if I'm cruising along and you need to clarify on anything, let me know. So once you kind of evaluate, the goal from last time and where they are, what they did and what they didn't go so well, again, they're the pilot or the co-pilot. We're there to walk this journey. To ask them, where do we go from here? Do you want to continue what you're doing? You want to modify what you're doing? You want to add to what you're doing? And let it sit with them. Let them figure out, they know what they can do, they know what they're willing to do. Having learned a little bit, maybe, realistic for them to say, yes, I need to modify my goal. I walked 3 times. I said I was going to walk 3 times, and I really did it 4 times. Oh, icing on the cake. You did it 4 times this week. So what's your new goal? And then let them tell you. You create that SMART goal. They decide that they're going to go on and keep doing what they were doing, walking 3 times a week. They're like, I really need to start eating better. All right. So, here's a circle of health for them to choose from. They decide they want to do nutrition, and then you go down that road. Well, before we go to the new thing, let me stop for just a second and back up. If they choose to continue doing the same focus they were originally on, then what you want to do is you want to explore and reconnect their values, the map, to why they're doing what they're doing. Being able to assess importance. Is it? You said last time it was a 7. Are we still 7, or has the number changed? Your confidence level was 5. You were kind of in the middle of the road last time. Has that changed any now that you've been able to successfully do some of this? What does that look like for you? And have them reevaluate and redefine what the importance is, what the confidence level is, reconnecting everything back to their map. We've got all these skills, again, we're listening, we're reflecting, we're acknowledging, asking some questions. We're basically
we all are having a hard time hearing you.
Am I lagging?
Breaking
No.
up. We hear about every.
You were
Half of it.
breaking up, and now it sounds smooth now.
I
No, you
appreciate
sound-
you stopping me. Is that better?
That does sound better. Yeah.
I don't know what I did differently. Do I need to recover anything? Do I need to go back over something that I was glitchy on?
Most of that on here too. I took some pictures, but
Are you talk? We're on stage 4.
Stage 4 printout that y'all
Yeah.
sent? Most, okay, so we're just going through that, okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we're just, if the client wants to keep doing what they're doing and not change anything, then you're just going to basically tie what they're doing back to their map, reestablishing how important it is for their values and why they're doing what they're doing. How important is it? How confident are they moving forward? Through this, you've got these tools right here available to use through the coaching session. You don't have to use them all. Just use them, as you need to. But if they decide that, I'm good with moving on. I want to change my focus to something else. I want to change it to recharge. All right. And so we go back to where we were when we first started and when they pick the focus and go through this. What is that area? What does that recharge mean to you? How important is this area for you, recharge for you? Again, connecting the recharge back to their vision, their values, their map, establishing that importance on that sliding scale of 1 to 10, setting a SMART goal, a long-term goal. What is it going to look like 3 months from now? If they decide that it's 3 months, how long, when would you like to reach this? 3 months. What are you going to be doing? And then setting that SMART action step of, all right, what's the first step towards your accomplishing your larger goal? All right. So basically what we're doing here is we're just rinse, lather, repeating, starting over with a different area, but drilling down to what's important and what is it that we're focused on and where are we going. Again, you want to set a long-term goal. What's the strengths that's going to help them? Any previous successes that's going to be able to help them identify the barriers and challenges, and what is it that they're going to be able to do to navigate those barriers and challenges? What support, what's going to help them be accountable? Who's going to help them be accountable? And then how confident are they that they're going to be able to accomplish this goal of whatever this next step is? And then at the end, all right, feedback to me. Between now and the next time we talk, what's your action step? What are you going to be doing between now and the next time we talk? Let them tell you in their own words. That way we know that we're all on the same page. And then your takeaway. What's your takeaway from our conversation today? That's pretty much stage 4 in a nutshell. We're just finding out what happened last time, what went well. These are the big. What went well? What didn't go so well? What did you learn? Where do we go from here? And then decide, keep doing or modify or do something else. And if we do something else, then we refocus that and then go back through just like we did in setting up the SMART goals in stage 3. Any questions about stage 4 here?
I'm going to share the whole health inventory and the scripts real fast. And I apologize to everybody. I don't know if Chad was breaking up again on the end there, but he was for me. But I just want to add on here for stage 4, it is this right here, right? And what Chad was able to get across is really right. We're going over what was lessons learned from the last piece. Is this focus area still a good focus area? If not, then you're basically reverting back to some of these previous stages, right? So, but if they need to rechange their focus area because that's not an appropriate focus area anymore, again, don't change it just because the client wants to change it. Remember that you want to challenge ambivalence, right? So that's another piece to remember. Just changing the focus area and changing those goals just because they're hard that's not what we do as coaches, right? Whenever we talk about client-centered care, we hold them still accountable to the long-term goal they want to accomplish. So we really shouldn't be changing a focus area, but there are times that would be appropriate, right? Life events, hospitalizations, broke a leg and your main goal is to be walking, right? So now you're going to be focused on power of the mind. So there are times, so I don't want to take anything away from that. There are times from that. But in the big picture, they should be moving towards that long-term behavior goal every single time. You should not change anything. But this is the script that we would go off of. And then, so I know, let's see, some folks are still on stage 3. I know last week we did stage 3, but this is the script for stage 3. And I'll just briefly go over that because I think Brock, so for tonight's exercise, whenever we break out, do the stage that you are on. Okay. So if you're on stage 3, knock out stage 3 with somebody. If you're still on stage 2, maybe you did stage 3 last time because that was one that you can do without the other pieces, then do stage 2 this time. Does that make sense?
So if you've done 2 and 3, do you do anything this time? Or
You
we're
can
gonna
do
go for-
this one. You can do stage 4 because you missed stage 1. I don't know if going back and doing stage 1 now would be that good or advantageous right now. So really stage 2 or stage 3, if you miss those, go back and do one of those because those are probably more important than the ongoing session. And if I would say the one to do to get feedback on would be stage 3. And that is this script right here. So Brock, this one would probably be you. I think that would be you. Not trying to call you out or anything. I'm just saying. Here is, we come up with that long-term behavioral goal. We're focused on outcome versus behavioral. So we're focused on the behavioral side. We come up with that SMART goal here, connect it to vision, and then we have what step are you doing when you leave here? And then we make that a SMART goal too. So every goal session, you actually are coming up, well, not every one, but for this very first one, you come up with that long-term behavioral goal. And Brock, this is the other thing I was going to show you, is this is the form that we use. You may have missed this. I think we filled it out on day 1 too, and then we filled it out last week as we were going over that stage 3 portion. But this is the one where we talked about that on the front end. We talked about this. But down here is where we're really getting into it whenever we're coming up with goal setting. Right here, you write their mission, aspiration, and purpose, right? So I will make my purpose greater than my reward is my mission statement, or whatever their mission statement is. You select whichever component they're wanting to work on. What's their focus area? Let's just say environment. Their long-term behavioral goal is going to be, they want to, I don't know what environment is. I can't do that very fast. So we're going to say walking. So in 3 or 6 months, they want to be walking in their neighborhood. They want to be walking in their neighborhood, and we're going to make it measurable by being 30 minutes, and we're going to do it 5 out of 7 days a week, right? So that would be the measurable side. It's action oriented. We can take action on it today if we wanted to. Is it realistic? The importance scale, if it's, and whenever you're on this importance scale, if it is a 6 or lower, you're then going to ask them what makes it that 6. But if it's 7 or higher, you're going to say, wow, this means this is pretty important for you, right? And then it's either going to be 3 or 6 months, right? It's either going to be that long-term goal for 3 months or 6 months. It could be either one. But then this is the one that would change every single session. What are you doing now to help you accomplish that long-term behavioral goal? And that's where the coaching, right? That's the road, the rubber meets the road. We got that long-term goal. 3 months from now, you're going to be walking, for 30 minutes, 4 times a week or whatever. Now your first action step is you got to figure out how you're going to keep track of it, right? So go get your app. So that's going to be your first action step. And then maybe the next time you meet with them, it's finding the tracker, getting your white tennis shoes on and going to the Walmart because there's a foot of snow outside or something, whatever it is, right? But having those types of plans is what you're coming up with at that point. So that's that stage 3, is really coming up with this long-term behavioral goal. And then what are you doing whenever you leave there? Okay. So sorry for that long explanation of some of those, but does anybody have any questions about this whole process right now before we go into breakouts?
I also have to do stage 3, by the way. Brock's not alone. But...
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So you stop picking on Brock is what you said.
Yeah. I got you, Brock.
That's right.
Appreciate that, dude.
Jaquan and I did 3.
Yeah. I mean, y'all did
I don't know
3.
if she's comfortable doing 4 with me, but I think, aren't you 2 and 3 up? Are you, Shaquan?
Yeah, I'm ready to do 4.
Okay, so that works. So then Jennifer and Shaquan are ready to do 4. Then we'll And then Mark, I think you're doing stage 3 as well. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
So then I'll put all the stage 3 people together, and then oh, look at that little guy. What? Say hello. And then we'll go ahead and break out. But I do want to make sure, is everybody good? Nobody has any questions for the stage 3 folks. It's using that whole health inventory to kind of come up with that long-term behavioral goal and what are you doing when you leave here.
Okay, so what stage is the, where you are versus where you're going? What stage is that?
So that one right there, I see it. So that's right here. So this is really narrowing down your focus area.
So that's
So-
stage 2 or 3?
That would be stage 2. So here, whenever you're narrowing down the focus area, this is whenever they fill it out and they may be a 2 now, but they want to be a 5. So that might be an area that they want to work on.
And then
But
the
first-
whole health, and then the optimal thing, that's stage 3. Alignment of your optimal whole health.
Oh,
these
yeah.
things,
Yeah,
that's all stage
alignment.
3.
To your optimal whole health. This is stage 3. This is where you come up and you can give your clients this form. They can leave with their goals written down, right? That's really the goal, to see it, be able to leave with it, and also to see their answers up here. Because, you know, again, they want some areas they're going to be strong in, right? So recharge, they might feel really good about their recharge, and that's something to pull on their strengths. So having all that stuff together is just really good. And then, in my opinion, this is one of the most critical pieces, right? Have them write out their mission statement, right? I mean, you don't have to for the sake of our practices, maybe over the next 8 weeks when you're working with people, but I tend to always have people write out their mission statement. And whenever they write out their mission statement, it is always an I statement. And I will be doing, right? Because this mission statement is an action statement, right? A purpose statement is an action purpose, right? It is taking action. So you don't want it to be some vague thing. It is, I will be doing X. For me, I will make my purpose greater than my reward, right? So I will do that. So to me, that's just, you know, again, and even working in substance abuse, you know, Brock, there's all kinds of research, and I don't know if you see it in the work, coming up with that purpose statement with substance abuse people is, in my opinion, probably the #1 thing that they should really be doing, right? That's, you know, you got to come up with that, because you can't build sobriety around anything if you don't have that purpose. You're just going to continue to do it. All right. No other questions, comments, concern? Good.
How do we get that form? Did you send it to us? I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I dropped it in the chat box. Let me drop this one. I didn't drop this one in the chat box. Let me drop the whole health inventory in. So in the chat box, you should have the stages now.
Yeah, I got that one.
And then I'll drop this whole health inventory in there now.
Sick.
Yeah. All right, there it is. It went through. Let's see, any questions? Do we want to take, man, we're running out of time again. We ran out of time last week too, didn't we? Y'all are probably like, good. Let's go ahead. I mean, I don't want y'all to go too far without a break. Let's go ahead and just take a quick 5-minute break as we transition to these. So I'll go ahead and send y'all out into them. But then just take a quick break in your groups, and then come back, use the bathroom, do what you need to. And then we're not going to come back to the main room. So y'all are going to be, I guess, dismissed. Go back to my military, and you're going to be dismissed, you know, after you're done with your training or your triad. All right, we good to go?
Will a
Oh, no
coach be
big
in
deal,
the
Chad.
room?
Huh?
Will you be in the room with us, or one of
Yeah.
Because I'm okay.
All right, breaking y'all out.